Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to That Park Place. My name is Vash Guy, and here talking about disability changes coming to your favorite parks. Well, here in That Park Place, we have been detailing the changes to stuff like DAS, right? Disability Access Service, or Disney's system by which disabled individuals can actually ride their favorite attractions. But here, we want to go ahead and detail what Universal is doing, and maybe taking some notes from Disney in more ways than one. Here you go, let me go ahead and put this on screen right now. From Walt Disney World News Today, or Universal News Today, I suppose, Universal Orlando testing digital attractions assistance pass. This by Shannon Ace, December 4th, 2025. Universal Orlando Resort is testing a digital version of their attractions assistance pass, or I guess app, or AAP, which allows guests needing certain accommodations to receive a return time for an attraction instead of physically waiting in the line. The big changes here, to detail them properly, we have to actually go back and see what this system was like before. And if we go here, this is a look at the physical attractions assistance pass that Universal used to give disabled individuals, and what you would do with this pass after receiving it, of course, and going through the interview process, whether it be with the IBCCES or with Universal specifically. To clarify, you don't actually require IBCCES verification beforehand. You can actually go directly to guest services at a Universal park in order to receive this pass if you do qualify. That was a change that was actually made back in September of 2024, which is very, very interesting to see right here, that update. But getting back to this card here, what you would do with this card after receiving it is you would actually go to each individual attraction, and a team member would actually give you back a return time by which you can actually use and go back to that specific attraction and wait in an alternative queue, and then actually ride the ride that you were seeking. The issue with this system, well, is obvious. You'd have to physically go to every single attraction in order to get a return time. And so it wasn't the most convenient system by which people looking to actually ride their favorite attractions could use, especially if you had a physical disability or something that impaired you from speaking to team members. Well, now that has changed. And as Universal News Today actually points out, it's turned into a digital system. Now, this is very interesting because this original update came out December 4th, 2025. Fortunately, one day later, it would seem that touring plans actually tested the system, and now we have screenshots of how this actually works. Here you go. Since we started visiting Universal, I wish we could access return times digitally, and that day has finally arrived. No more running to the ride you need a return time for. Universal Orlando Resort is testing a new digital system for making your return times. And if you have an IAC or IBCCES accessibility card, as we were detailing before, and use the IAC exclusive line of guest services, you can choose to participate in the digital test. If you don't want another app on your phone, no worries, you may keep the paper. Now, from what I understand, Universal has switched over almost exclusively towards this digital system by the time you're watching this. However, it is good to know that Touring Plans does list that you could possibly utilize the old system if you prefer that. However, I will say, I have heard from many people after switching to a digital system like this, that is far more convenient than using an old paper system. And that's pretty consistent with how Touring Plans has listed this in their update right here. Here's how this system works. And beautifully with these screenshots provided by Touring Plans, you can see this listed out very clearly. It appears that you go to the wait times, you select the attraction that you want, and then you should have a new option as provided by your AAP, having been approved by Universal, of course. You can see right there, make an AAP return time. And you go ahead, click on that, 90-minute wait, click, continue, and go. And now you are confirmed. And you can imagine how the old system might have been an impediment for people with physical disabilities, and how this system might improve somebody with that disposition. For example, maybe you go to Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure, you provide them your AAP, you get that signed off by the team member at the front right there, you go on that attraction, and then, well, maybe you want to go on Spider-Man or something like that on the complete other side of Islands of Adventure. You can kind of see how going from one side of the park to the other just to get a return time like that, obviously that came with challenges and difficulties, and then once you got to the other side, you still have to wait. So in this way, I would imagine this being a much more efficient process for those who have a disability and who can't wait in the line. Now, I will say there have been some restrictions as put in place by Universal in order to curb what some suspect as abuse. You can see right here, this is from Practically Perfect Pixie Dust, Universal Orlando Accommodations, Navigating Accessibility Changes in 2025. This is back in October, but I want to go ahead and read you this anyway, just to provide a little bit more clarification on these systems and how Universal might be cracking down. Update October 2025, Universal has begun transitioning away from the former attraction assistance pass with virtual wait times to a return to queue model, much like Disney has done. The change wasn't widely announced, and even many experienced parkgoers, including us, were caught off guard. If you read this article, which I'll go ahead and put a link to this in the description, it details how Universal, has been limiting the attraction assistance pass to those that are neurodivergent. This is a radical change for people who may have utilized the system or these passes for expressly physical disabilities. Now they're saying neurodivergency is going to be one of the requirements, or at least it would appear so, for receiving a pass like this going forward. Again, it's the same as Disney, right? In which you have Disney charging for a system like Lightning, for example. They want to go ahead and protect those sales. Similarly, you do have Universal with their Express Pass system, and they want to go ahead and protect those as well. So not so good right here. I will say I haven't heard much in the way of denials being as strict as what we've experienced with Disney, and we've talked about that many times on this channel right here, but it is something that is happening. And if you actually go to this Reddit post right here, this poster actually believed that the disability pass card was removed entirely. Instead, it was actually due to possibly them being denied because they didn't have a neurodivergent issue by which they can actually qualify for the attraction assistance pass. Man, that's the thing with some of these big corporate parks in changing the disability access rules. We here at That Park Place have detailed extensively how bad some of this stuff has kind of become recently, and it's really unfortunate to see guests have to navigate these things in such a way that, it's just not very hospitable, especially if you are suffering from issues and disabilities and anxieties and whatever, to have to go through a process by which is almost like an interrogation in the form of DAS for Disney, for example. It hasn't been all that welcoming. And some people have reported that, some of their issues may have been made worse through these interview processes. And that is unbelievably unfortunate. You can see right here, this is a compilation of attractions that, unfortunately, recently, in the wake of the passing of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala, have been limited when it comes to people who can't physically stand or can't physically transfer, being able to access certain attractions, like, pretty much everything you're seeing on screen right there. And so there have been a myriad of changes when it comes to these disability access systems, when it comes to being able to facilitate the needs of the physically disabled. And some of those have been consistent with ADA, and some, in my opinion, haven't quite been consistent. And we've also detailed stuff like United Parks, for example, banning the use of roller walkers from their parks. And that's been very, very interesting to watch, because in that particular case, the DOJ actually got involved and are looking to investigate. Now, there are more updates to that story and more for sure. I just wanted to go ahead and give you a taste of what's actually happening with these big corporate parks, because I do believe more changes are on the way, some for the better, like this digital version of the Attraction Assistance Pass, for example, from Universal, and some might be for the worse. And this is why I want to go ahead and hear from you on your experience on what you think is going on with our favorite parks, and perhaps visiting these parks with somebody who makes use of these systems. Now, of course, don't provide any medical history or any private details. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm just asking, has your experience been affected by these changes? Has someone their experience been affected by these changes? I really want to hear from you whether or not you think these are for the better or for the worse, because you're definitely going to have two sides to this debate, and I'd love to hear what everybody has to say. Of course, keep it civil, no go attacking anybody, but at the same time, I'm guessing some people are going to have some very strong feelings about what they actually see right here, and I want to go ahead and hear from you what your feelings might actually be. Thank you so much for watching That Park Place. Make sure you hit the like button if you have not hit that like button just yet. Like I said before, make sure you hit the comment button. I want to go ahead and hear from you, your feedback on this story and more. If you've got any high points to spare, we'd be very appreciative if you could share those with us. And be sure to follow That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.